Alrighty, hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And yeah, here we are on a Friday again. And we have another talking video, like I said I would have at times throughout the summer. And well, yeah, this is something that I wanted to talk about sooner than later. And well, this talking video will be just a little bit different because after I talk about the serious subject, I will also be talking about some other things that are on the horizon. And this is about a few different places that are out there in the USA. And yeah, I'm just really excited with what could be happening with these places based on everything that I have been seeing and hearing lately on social media. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in the second half of this video. But in the first half of this video, I wanted to talk about something that I'm sure we've all heard before and how it can relate to our own lives and how we can grow in our faith. And I'm sure you've heard the phrase, practice makes perfect. The more you practice something, the better you can get at it. And yeah, I've thought about that over the years with my faith and with other things as well. You know, ever since I was a kid, I have enjoyed the sport of bowling. And well, when I was a kid and a teenager, I was okay at bowling. And then when I got into bowling again in my 20s and early 30s, I was more mature and I was able to handle myself a lot better after a bad frame or two and bounce back. And the more I practiced bowling, the better I was with keeping the ball on the lane each time. And then something that is really challenging with bowling for me, because, with the way I throw the ball, it is in the direction of how a lefty would throw it. My ball goes from left to right on the lane. And the two pins on the left, the 4 pin and the 7 pin, those have been the most difficult for me. But I have seen it over the last 3 years when I have bowled a lot. I have seen it where after I have dedicated a lot of time in practicing on just throwing the ball and shooting at the 4 and 7 pins, that there has been some improvement. And I can even remember one night in April of this year how I was on a Monday night bowling league, and unbelievably, I made every 7 pin that I left that night. And I probably left about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 7 pins in one night. And, because I was putting in all that practice, I could see it that it paid off. I was getting better at shooting the 7 pin and the 4 pin. And, if I had done nothing over the last few years in terms of practicing the 4 pin and the 7 pin, then I would not have improved in that area. However, I decided to put in the practice and I could see that it really paid off. And I could also say the same thing about all the years that I have been practicing on improving my behavior from the time I was a kid and a teenager to how I have behaved as an adult. And really from the age of 17 onwards, and especially in 2010 and 2011, those were two big years where I started to make a big change, and I was purposely giving it my all and practicing on how to be a better person and behave in a way that would please God. And the more and more I practiced godly behavior, and the more I practiced in staying away from the bad behavior, the more I grew in my faith. And, there's definitely been a lot of momentum and strength over time, over all of these years since then. And, when I say keep it up in our faith, yeah, definitely keep it up and be sure to practice the good behavior and be sure to practice staying away from the bad every day. Because the more that we practice, the more that we can improve and the more strength that we can have in growing in our faith. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because I have seen it in my life, and I'm sure many others can say it as well, that when they practice at something more and more, then the more that they can improve. And I have seen that in bowling with keeping the ball on the lane, and also when I shoot the 4-pin and the 7-pin. And I can also say the same thing with my faith in God and how I live. The more I practice the good behavior and reading my devotional and the Bible, the more strength I have and the more good choices I make. Opposed to if I do not put in a lot of practice, if I'm not practicing that often or at all, then yeah, it's very likely that I'm going to slip into a bad spot, and that is not where I would like to return. But rather, I want to keep practicing the good behavior and growing in God, and I hope that you can remember to keep practicing as well. I just thought I would share that because it has been on my mind, and yeah, keep on practicing. Keep on practicing with a hobby that you are good at, and also keep on practicing with your Christian faith. And I hope that you can improve in all of those areas and that good things can happen with you over time. And yeah, I believe that is everything that I have wanted to say on the subject of the more you practice. And now, instead of saying after the serious subject, thank you for watching, of course I'll say that at the end of this video, but I just wanted to talk about something else that is going on right now in the world. And, well, this happens pretty much every year. And this is something that can bring us joy in the months of August and September, usually. And then, of course, in the following year, when you see what has happened with these announcements, when things are built and opened to the public. And what I am referring to here is the roller coaster hobby and what is going on right now out there with 5 different parks. I want to talk just for a little bit on 5 amusement parks out there. A few of them I have seen, and a couple of them I have not seen yet, but I hope to one day. And yeah, this is just very exciting stuff, and I want to talk about each park for a little bit. And, well, if we start out with Hershey Park in Pennsylvania, yeah, Hershey Park, I can now say it since I have been there. That was in April of 2024. What a great park that is, with the atmosphere and the rides, and they have they have built a lot of roller coasters over the years, and I really enjoyed most of them that were there. And right now, what some people are saying out there in the YouTube world is that Hershey Park might be getting ready to build another roller coaster. And from what people are saying, this roller coaster might be located next to Candymonium. And if you've ever been to Hershey Park, or if you ever make it there one day, you will see that when you walk past the metal detectors and you're going towards the main entrance, you will see that Candymonium is the first big ride that you see. And really, it's to the left of Candymonium's lift hill. That's really about the only major plot of land that is left for Hershey Park to build anything. And yeah, that is out there right now. That Hershey Park might be getting ready to build another roller coaster, and I would say it's a 50-50 chance as of right now that it's a roller coaster. But there has been talk out there of something going on with Hershey Park, and we will see with all of that land clearing if it does turn into another roller coaster, and if it is in 2026 or 27. So that is exciting. We'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that. And then moving west towards some other states, there is the state of Kentucky, which has a wonderful little park called Kentucky Kingdom. And I have also made it to this park on 2 different occasions. And while it may not be the biggest park in the world, and they only have, 5 or 6 roller coasters, it is a really nice park. And, you could spend a whole day there. You could spend a whole day there. And yeah, we have all been very happy that Ed Hart came back in the early 2010s, and he saved that plot of land from being demolished. Because at the end of 2009, when Six Flags had owned Kentucky Kingdom, they said at the end of 2009, your park is closing. It's just totally closing for good. And yeah, we are all grateful that Ed Hart came back and he saved that park from closing and getting demolished. And he has added some really good roller coasters to that park. And now, with what is happening at the moment, there is a teaser at Kentucky Kingdom called Test Your Wings. And we've heard the number, $14 million is what Kentucky Kingdom has to build their next ride. And Well, for $14 million, no, that could not be enough to pay for a gatekeeper type of ride. Gatekeeper, the wing coaster. But could it be a small gatekeeper? Or could it be referring to the theme of flying? And could it be something like the single rail RMC coaster? And, well, over in the state of Idaho, there is a single rail RMC that is themed to flying, and that is called Stunt Pilot. And could that be what we're going to see at Kentucky Kingdom? If it is, then yeah, that would be very exciting to have a single rail RMC at Kentucky Kingdom. And yeah, $14 million. Now that would be enough for a single rail. And I I think it's more of a 70-30% chance. I would say, as of right now, it's like 70% sure in my mind that Kentucky Kingdom could be getting a new roller coaster for next year. I do hope that it happens, and I hope that they do not miss their down payment this time with purchasing a new ride. And so we will see what happens with Kentucky Kingdom. And then a little bit south in the state of Tennessee, there is a park which everyone's heard about, and that park would be Dollywood. And again, this is a park that I have visited one time, and yeah, Dollywood is amazing. It is a clean park, it is affordable. I love their food, and I love their rides. And yeah, I I was blown away with Dollywood, and I really hope to get back there someday because I was just so impressed with that amusement park, and I loved riding Dragon Flyer, which is a modern Vekoma coaster, and I would still like to ride Big Bear Mountain because I've heard a lot of good things. And then for 2026, Dollywood is in fact going to add something, and nobody seems to be able to figure out what it is. However, based on the YouTube videos that we have, we can see that there is a new building going up, which people can see when they ride the train at Dollywood. And could this be an indoor coaster, or could it be somewhat indoors? I don't know. But Dollywood is getting ready to spend a lot of money on a new attraction, and it very well could be a roller coaster. And I am intrigued to see what is going to happen there. And whether it is a roller coaster or not, yeah, there is a 100% chance that something is going to happen at Dollywood for next year. And we should be finding out, well, sometime in the fall, I would think, in August or September. And so, again, that is something to keep an eye on with Dollywood. And then for the other two parks that I wanted to speak on, now these are two places that I have not seen yet, but moving west a little bit, in the state of Missouri, there is a small park called Worlds of Fun. And Worlds of Fun finally received more attention in, well, really, in 2022 is when it was announced, that Zambezi Zinger would open. And then in the following year of 23, Zambezi Zinger did open. And yeah, that definitely inspired a lot of people to talk about Worlds of Fun again, because it had been a long, long time since that park had received a new roller coaster. And yeah, I've heard some positive things about Zambezi Zinger and Patriot and Mamba and Prowler. And well, what has been happening there with Worlds of Fun lately is that in this current year of 2025, their one wooden coaster, Timberwolf, has been closed. And that has definitely made a lot of people curious. It has made people think, oh, is that ride getting a serious retrack? Or will it be demolished? Or will it be reprofiled in some way? And, if Worlds of Fun wanted the biggest draw in reprofiling that roller coaster, then, yeah, going with RMC would be the best choice. Because we've seen it with Steel Vengeance, Twisted Timbers, and the single rail RMCs out there. We've seen how when you RMC a roller coaster, that can definitely get people talking and it can bring more people to your park. However, we have also heard the rumor that Timberwolf could be getting reprofiled with the GCI Titan track. And this might be a first of its kind in some way with the GCI Titan track. And, well, I don't know if that would bring in the same crowd as an RMC. But hey, if Worlds of Fun wants to do that with Timberwolf, then maybe we will hear about that later this year. And that could be another new roller coaster, technically, for 2026. And, right now I'm leaning at maybe a 60-40% chance of something happening with Worlds of Fun for next year. A 60% chance. And that it could be involving something with Timberwolf. So we will see. We will see what happens there. And finally, with all of these parks that I've been talking about here, the one that definitely seems the most exciting, for me at least, is down in the state of Texas. And this would be Six Flags Over Texas. And again, this is a park that I have not visited yet. However, I would definitely want to now, because if you have heard on YouTube and through other social media as well, then Six Flags Over Texas very well might be getting ready to build the very first 300-foot tall dive coaster. Imagine the Valraven as tall as Millennium Force. That's what we might be getting ready to see here at Six Flags Over Texas. And we've already seen some teasers on the internet from the park manager at Six Flags Over Texas about this new ride. And there was already track there on site at the park. And yeah, I mean, that is really, really, really exciting. I am really excited for that. And, come to think of it, it's not every day, it's not every year when a park builds a roller coaster over 300 feet high. there are only so many roller coasters out there that are in the 300 to 399 foot range, and there are only so many that are over 400 feet high. And, well, yeah, there is definitely a 100% chance that Six Flags Over Texas is going to build a new roller coaster here soon. And all we have to do now is sit back and wait. And I would imagine it will be in August or September that we will get the announcement. And yeah, if it is in the 300-foot range for this dive coaster at Six Flags Over Texas, then bring it on. Bring it on. And let's go to Texas one day and ride that thing. Because I am very intrigued about how a 300-foot tall dive coaster would be like. And so far, I believe it's only 2 dive coasters that I have ever ridden. I've ridden the Valraven a number of times at Cedar Point, and I think it was 2 times at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I rode the Griffin, and that was fun. And I would very much like to ride the Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland one day. I would love to get back there. But yeah, Six Flags Over Texas, a 300-foot tall dive coaster. That is exciting. That is really, really, really exciting. And really, with all of these parks, the ones I've mentioned, and other parks out there, like Cedar Point, Kings Island, Valley Fair, and others, yeah, we will see in August or September, most likely, what announcements are made. And yeah, I will definitely be following all of that. And yeah, I just wanted to share that today and share some excitement about what is going on with some other parks out there in the USA right now. So yeah, just stay tuned to what is going on with all of that news out there. And, well, going back to what I said in the first part of this video, just remember to keep practicing the good behavior with everything you do and everything you say and everything you think. The more we practice something, the better that we can get at it. And I hope that all of this has made sense, and I hope that all of this has given you something to look forward to with the roller coaster announcements. And once again, I hope that you've had a nice time watching one of my videos again. So, yeah, thank you for watching everything and listening to everything I've had to say today. This video will be in my YouTube playlist. Stay well, be strong, and be sure to practice all the good stuff all the time. And I'll see you all again for another video really soon. Thank you.